record button. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm sure more people will be joining as they become available. Welcome everyone. It's so great to see so many of you. I see some familiar faces, many new faces, folks I don't know, and we'll blame that on the pandemic, not being able to get out to the colleges over the last year and a half. For those of you who do not know me, I'm Jake Farbman. I'm the executive director of the statewide New Jersey Center for Student Success, which is housed within the New Jersey Council of County Colleges, statewide nonprofit enshrined in state law that exists for one purpose: to strengthen and support our community colleges. And we're just delighted that so many of you are joining us for this session to talk about the Open Textbook Collaborative, Open Education Resources. I'll say on the front end that this is the great whale. What do I mean by that? Many of you may know that the federal government released funding a few years ago, and we had a pretty good proposal, and we lost by 7 points. And along comes our friends at Middlesex College with several partners and said, we got a proposal, and they got the money. So kudos to the team at Middlesex and our leadership team. You'll hear more from all those folks in a little bit. And we're just delighted. This is so critical because one, we think that this initiative is a terrific opportunity to build and strengthen a statewide community of practice and a network of faculty who can work together, learn from each other, and strengthen the work they do with students. So that's one, which is critically important because we exist for our students. Two, affordability. So many of our students spend an average of $1,600 a year on textbooks. If we can cut that cost, we know that's going to lead to increased student performance, student retention, and student success. And we're just delighted that so many of you are with us today. So thank you. One request for all of you. If you would not mind, if you would be so kind, please go into the chat, share your name, your college, and email. In the chat, name, college, and email. That would be great. Put your name, college, and email in the chat. That would be great, just so we have a record of who's on, so that if anyone says, oh, can you send us the PowerPoint slides? Or, oh, we want to follow up and we want more information on ABC, then I know how to get in touch with you. That would be great. So name, college, and email in the chat. That would be terrific. So thank you. And I'm going to turn it over to Marilyn Ochoa from Middlesex College, who's really the quarterback of all of this effort. Marilyn, thank you so much for everything you're doing for all of us and for your Herculean leadership efforts in all of this. And over to you.
Thank you so much, Jake, and thank you so much for hosting this session with us. I'm going to be projecting my screen. We've prepared a PowerPoint presentation for today, but that is just the first part of the session. We are going to be going through a number of breakout sessions so that you can speak with our chairs, our curriculum chairs, to discuss the specific. Can we have everybody mute themselves? Thank you. So that we can talk with you about your interests in our project that we're going to be describing to you first. As you can see, we are funded by the U.S. Department of Education. It is a 3-year grant, and we have decided to work with a number of partners across the state. And I'm going to move forward. The first 4 parts of our agenda are going to be a combination of a number of our team members who are going to be speaking. So I'm going to invite them right now actually to introduce themselves, their name, their institution, and their role in the project. I think I neglected to say I am the principal investigator for this project, and I'm also the project director. Steve, would you like to start?
Sure. I am Steve Chudnick. I am also from Middlesex College now. I am the project coordinator. So I'm helping move everything along, crossing the I's, dotting the T's, if I said that right. And we have 4, I'll turn it over to that person who just left. I think that's Rob Hilliker.
Sure. Rob Hilliker, I'm at Rowan University. I am the curriculum council manager. So I'm overseeing the folks who are shepherding proposals for funded OER projects into existence. And that's my role in this group.
And for this first part, Jake Farbman is also going to be speaking, and he's already introduced himself. Thank you, Jake. All right, and then the last bullet for our agenda is for you to go into the breakout rooms with our curriculum chairs who are in the room today, and I'll have them introduce themselves when we are at that point in the presentation. So our project is quite large. It's a 3-year project in which we are trying to develop OER for multiple courses in the STEM industry fields. They are connected to the NJCCC skills and collaboratives, which you'll talk about later. But we want to create those materials through communities of practice of subject matter experts. We want to also develop the technology in order to actively create the learning objects for the OER based on the OER content that our subject matter experts are developing, and then put them somewhere. So we have a hosted tool that we are augmenting for the use, particularly for this project, but then can be used by any individual in the state moving forward. In between, we want to make sure that everybody understands OER, what it is, what the goals are for OER, and how they can contribute. So a number of professional development tools are being developed and will be launched in the next couple of weeks, or months rather, so that you can learn more about OER on your own. And we'll also have workshops that kind of piggyback off of this and that explore OER in much more detail. To do all of that, we have a very robust team of partners from across the state. Right now, we have our major collaborators that we'll describe, I think, in the next slide, but we also have an advisory council that is built up of 17 of the community college institutions, right, Jake? I think there's only one that's missing, but we also have a number of partners who are on the advisory council from across the state in higher education, including Rowan University, Rutgers University, and NJIT. We also are partnering with EDGE and with NJ Transfer to make sure that the content that we're creating can be linked to higher ed, four-year institutions that students ultimately will transfer to.
I believe this is
me.
Jake. So
yeah.
Hello again, everyone. So the Council of County Colleges, over the last couple of years, we released a report called Vision 2028. Within that report, we recognize that we really need to look at how we do things through an ecosystem holistic approach. And what do I mean by that? I mean that for community colleges specifically, we can be doing a lot more when it comes to partnerships with business and industry and ensuring that we are meeting the needs of their workforce, whether that's entry level, mid-level, or senior level. And so the idea is that we've created these pathways and skills collaboratives in these 4 specific industry sectors. And we've connected, you'll hear more about it, we've connected the OER project, the OTC project, to these pathways and skills collaboratives, particularly to focus on those courses that require textbooks and supporting materials that are costly. And if we can make a dent in that through all of your good work, should you, we hope, join us in this, then we're going to see significant returns on students joining us, students being successful, and ultimately students getting jobs and having great careers in these pathways. And these pathways specifically global manufacturing chain supply management, supply chain management, innovation and technology, health services and energy, health services, and then energy. And then you can see the lead college next to each. Why these 4? These 4 are based on labor market data, and there are jobs within these 4 career pathways within these 4, all that are growing industries, growing career paths where the state's going to need more workers.
Thank you, Jake. Within our project, we do have multiple areas of participation, as you can see here. We're not going to go over all of them today, but we welcome you to ask us questions at your breakout sessions or at our office hours that will be linked to later on. But as you can see, these areas of participation include everything from decision-making to content creation, and to dissemination and use of the OER that we are developing through this project. Today, we're really focused on the first two, the participation in the curriculum committees and the development of OER learning objects themselves. I think this is you, Rob.
Yep. So within each of these industry areas, we have a curriculum committee, and we're looking for certain courses that we have identified, doing an analysis of what is required for credentials or degrees in various opportunities in these industries. And again, trying to maximize the impact of the grant funding, maximize the benefit to students. These are the courses that are entry level that are really necessary to move forward in these industries based on our analysis. And so far, and you'll see this later on, we've actually funded OER development and at least half of these courses, but there are some that we're still looking for proposals. Even if we have proposals for courses, there's still different levels of need, as we'll see. And we're also open if there are other courses that folks think are missing from this list. We're eager to hear that, and that may take a different, different forms. But again, take a quick look at this. Take a look at our website, and you'll see there's a lot of opportunities to engage a lot of faculty and benefit students. Next slide. So this gives you a sense of the range of things we're looking for is pretty broad, right? When we talk about OER, and the name of the grant is actually the Open Textbook Grant, we're the Open Textbook Collaborative, but really OER takes a lot of different forms. It can be actual textbooks, but it can also be lecture slides. It can be recorded lectures. It can be things like one of our funded projects is a digital, a virtual microscope that allows students to learn how to use a microscope, even if it's an online class. And so part of what OER enables is really lowering the cost for students, but it's also opens up pedagogical opportunities for faculty, right? Because one of the things that we're really looking to enable is not just creating new OER, but then also adapting existing OER. And so the different funding points are based on the level of effort and the level of originality involved in the proposal. And I will add one more point on this quickly, which is that if folks want to take bite-sized chunks of a larger project, right, we're happy to work with them and stage that so that you maybe write a couple of chapters in one phase and then apply for additional funds and come back and write some more chapters for an open textbook, for example. So next slide. So Steve, do you take the timeline? Yeah. Awesome.
So as you can see here, this project has been going on since we were awarded the grant in January, and we are currently in our 4th round of the call for proposals, and that will come to a close on November 19th. One of the reasons we're gathering together here early in November. There is round 5. Will run from December 15th to February 11th. That actually crosses into 2021 and 22, as you can see that. So basically what we're doing is having a rolling calendar every few months or so. We're going to have a time for our curriculum committees and then the advisory council to go through the proposals and see which will be awarded money to go through.
Thank you, Steve.
Next slide, please.
So this might be a little overwhelming and a little bit hard to see, but we're going to be relying on our chairs during breakout sessions to dig into some of these workflow tasks. But essentially, as a prospective applicant, what you want to do is submit your application, and there will be a 2-week period before your application goes to the advisory council for its final approval. So during that 2-week period, our curriculum chair and their committee will be discussing your project with you to make sure that it is aligned to what our goals are, to make it the best application as possible. So there is no question about what ultimately their recommendation will be at the end when it goes up to the AC. During that period, after you have accepted your award, we work with you with expert librarians, instructional designers, and curriculum individuals who are going to help you with your content development and to make sure that the learning objects that you decided that you wanted to create really match what the goals are of your application. Once those materials are completed, you will be adding them to our OpenNJ repository, that hosting site that I've mentioned before, and then you're going to be implementing it in your course for piloting. We will be conducting surveys as part of our evaluative process, but throughout this process, you will have a lot of touch points with the members of our team who are really set to help you to be the most successful OER content developer as possible.
I can add something on that. I'd like from that slide, one of the reasons there are so many boxes on that and it might be a little overwhelming is because there's a whole team to help you throughout every portion of this project. Faculty are the subject matter experts, and we are having various teams and groups to help you out. So this is just to let you know there's an entire team behind you as you pursue this project.
Right. You are not
And
alone.
we will, no, you are not alone, and don't be freaked out by this slide. Somebody wanted to know the bit.ly for that. We will post that in the chat.
And we will share this PowerPoint out to everyone as well.
Yeah. And if you happen to look at the PowerPoint later, I had to put a nice little slide here with all these abbreviations of people and things that you may need to know. Okay. And this is where we currently are. We are in the round 4 process, and we wanted to give you a basic look at the workflow. What does happen once the proposals are due? As you can see, proposals come in on the 19th, highlighted in yellow. The week of November 29th, the curriculum committee reviews and then selects the proposals to move forward. That's followed by our advisory committee meeting to approve the work sent to them from the committee. And then we send our notifications to awardees, and you would have January 1st, May 5th to May 15th, basically the spring semester to work on course creation, checking in with the various councils and so forth. And we would then have you go peer review by the curriculum council and then pilot your course the following fall, which involves a whole other bunch of steps as well. And there is that bit.ly right there for you folks, right in the bottom right.
All right, that's the bit.ly to our entire website that provides links to proposals as well as course lists.
I think each of the curriculum leads, we're going to discuss the projects on this sheet. So,
and I guess they'll be discussing them in the breakout sessions, but
yeah,
as
in a
you
little
can
bit more
see,
detail.
we have 7 projects currently in process from 5 institutions who are participating as of today. We would love to increase that number to involve all 18 partners who signed on to our project. And I think that I'm not sure if I said this, there's 17 faculty members so far who are participating.
Yeah, one of the things we liked was that a bunch of faculty from multiple institutions got together. You know, some folks from Middlesex, some folks from Bergen and Passaic. They're working together on projects, and it's kind of what we want to do with this community of practice. You can start on one project and tell your friends, tell your family, and then we can just branch out and put some more OER out there into the Jersey curriculum.
I just want to inject quickly one point on that previous slide as well, right? A lot of these folks who were applying are already using OER in their classes before they even heard about this grant. And so part of what this grant is doing and what this opportunity is doing is catalyzing people who are already out there working in this space and giving them resources and support, the whole team that we have wrapping around this, to really take something that they might be doing on their own and magnify the impact and make it something that reaches statewide and nationally in terms of what they're doing. I mean, you know, if you move to the second slide here with Chris Simber, for example, you know, the week we announced that we funded his project, he sent us a complete draft of his project because he'd already taught the course OER, right? So, that's just one example. There may be other folks who are just starting to think about this, and this is a way to get them moving forward, but there may be folks at your institutions who are already doing this. They would be ideal because this is a way to take their work and increase its impact.
And so these are the members of our executive team, and the ones who are listed as the curriculum chairs will be leading the breakout sessions when we have them. What's next? Oh, and I guess we're at that point. I guess maybe what we could do is answer 1 or 2 questions if it's related to something more broad about the project, and then we'll leave you to work with the chairs to ask your individual questions. Are there any questions? No? Okay. So at this moment, I'd like to have our chairs introduce themselves so that you know who you're going to be meeting with. And I'm going to go back to the slide with the courses so that you can do that. So I'm going to start with you, Greg.
Hi, everyone. I'm Greg Fallon from Passaic County Community College, and I work with Tony Taylor. We're the leads for the curriculum on global manufacturing and supply chain management. So we have, most of ours are team-based. So Principle of Economics, this is a case where Mike Walker is using the OpenStax textbook on economics, and he's decided to add a chapter on household economics and the effects of COVID on the macroeconomy. Analytic Geometry and Calculus 1, this is a group led by faculty at Middlesex, but also faculty members at Passaic. And what they're doing is putting together a workbook. And so to make, I guess, calculus more comprehensible for their students. They, being community college instructors, know the kinds of help that students need. And so it's a very useful enterprise. Business law, as Rob mentioned, a number of our faculty are already teaching OER. So Ray Torres of Passaic teaches business law here. Everybody that's involved in this curriculum is an attorney and also an instructor, someone from Bergen and also from Middlesex. So anyway, this is, I don't know, I think that they've kind of trimmed down their original intent, but they were going to do 2 parts. One was going to be on torts and the other one was going to be on contracts. But again, this is another group that works as a team, and they meet periodically to discuss where it is they want to go. The 4th one, Introduction to Supply Chain Management, you notice that's new. And what happened is originally it was mechanical engineering was deemed the course, but we found that we didn't have the expertise and whatever. And so, and everybody knows, because everybody's hearing about it these days, and it's even in the title of our pathway, just how important the logistics of supply chain management are. And so again, this is a case where we're using a PCCC, an intro to business textbook of OpenStax. We have a new faculty member in economics who has had some training in supply chain management. So again, the thought is for her to work with other faculty at community colleges, New Jersey, to put together a chapter, to be added to that intro to business, but on supply chain management issues. So that's essentially what's going on in our pathway.
Thank you, Greg. Donna?
Hello, everyone. I'm Donna Rosinski-Kaz. I'm the Director of Library Services at Ocean County College, and I'm very pleased to be the chair of the Innovation and Technology Curriculum Committee. And I had the pleasure of working with Professor Simber on his Introduction to Computer Programming Python course, and also working with the team that the grant has put together for the different sections. And we're at the point where I don't think it's been published yet, but it's ready to be published. And it's really exciting. And I'm looking forward to working with anyone who's interested in these courses, or as the point was made, if you have an idea for a different course, we will certainly consider that. So thank you.
Thank you. Susan?
I am Susan Scarangella. I am the Institute Administrator for Health Sciences at Brookdale Community College, and I am the Curriculum Committee Chair for Health Services. We are looking at gateway classes into health services degrees, so anatomy and physiology, chemistry, microbiology. I am lucky to be the chair of the group building the virtual microscope that Rob Hilliker mentioned. It has been unbelievably rewarding to watch them create this microscope. And I think it will provide a huge benefit to multiple classes, not just the classes that professors Burns and Salinas teach. So I'm looking forward to more projects like that and excited to talk about projects you all want to develop to have more exciting OER out there.
Thank you, Susan. And Debbie?
Hi, I'm Debbie Gaspar. I'm the Director of Services at Campbell Library at Rowan University. I'm very happy to be the chair of the Energy Committee because there is so much happening in the state of New Jersey related to energy at this point. At the moment, we have 2 separate projects going through to completion on general physics. Both professors Tablani and Kotowitz have been active with adding to existing OER in OpenStax. So they are adding chapters to make their courses use those books in a more relevant way in their courses. They are adding optics and nuclear information and diagrams and PowerPoints to make those books more usable for everybody. And it's an interesting process to watch as we expand on what is already available. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I wanted to add, one of the things we're trying to do through all this is create communities of practice, whether faculty are working individually or in teams. Feel free to get together and talk about OER. We have avenues. We meet weekly, once a week on Thursdays at noon to come and talk about OER and OER projects. Because what we're trying to do is get in at the ground floor, like you said, and just reduce the cost for students to get into STEM fields. I mean, the books are expensive. It's a cost barrier. Tuition is a cost barrier to some. And some of that's being addressed with the CCOG grants at the various community colleges, but that doesn't always cover course materials as well, and that could become a barrier. So we're just doing whatever we can to try and lift as many people up as we can.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate that because you gave me some time. I closed out of that PowerPoint. So Jake, are you